to qievolution.com/summit.
So
I can type it in just a moment. First, let me get this going.
Yep. I just refreshed and I don't see it yet. I'll refresh again.
Yes, you don't see it yet because I haven't embedded it yet.
It can't be magic. And where are you? Where are you physically located?
in Denmark.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't
and
know I was typing up people's input. It's like, where is everybody?
Yeah. I'm just outside because we have a guest, and but I have trouble because I also have chickens, and they are making a lot of noise. Maybe I can get in a little later.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a cat that continually decides the worst moments to let me know he wants something. You'll be surprised. He doesn't just walk across the front of, yeah.
I have also one here.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, nice to meet you.
Yes. It's funny you mentioned chickens. I had a weird dream the other night where I was in a hurry to take Bob Dylan to a gig. That I'll tell you about dreams. And I had to rush to grab a truck and there was a chicken and I just knew I had to take the chicken with me.
Oh.
The only thing I can imagine is it was trying to tell me the strange things that go along with you on the trip are meant to be there.
Yeah. That's
So,
a good.
Chickens,
Yeah.
and Bob Dylan, somehow they go together.
Yes, strange things such as that. Okay, I'm almost done embedding this particular broadcast right into our webpage. So this is going to be fascinating. Hopefully it works. I know it's worked in the past and hopefully will work again in the future, including now.
As you can see, and these productions are still in the learning and growing and what just happened phase. What?
All right, so I have a question for you guys. Have you had a chance to take a look at any of the interviews yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Which ones did you look at?
I've seen Stefan's, Christian's, and Doug's is playing.
Okay.
Right now.
Great.
Yes, that's true.
And did you have any opportunity to kind of see what they have to say about stuff? Like, did you actually listen to what they had to say?
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
the reason I'm asking is so that we can actually discuss things about what they say, or not necessarily what they say, but what we think can or should be said. Obviously, we can discuss things like, what's the new normal? How can we live better now than we ever did? Yeah.
Well, you can take a little bit of Stefan's and talk about, where do we start with centering and how does that show up in the new normal? And, fast forward over into the conversation with Christian about investing in ourselves and understanding the new currency. And that has a lot of possible meanings.
Right.
And how does that show up in the new normal?
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Okay, we have a number of attendees waiting to join us.
Oh, great.
Thank you, folks, for being here with us today. hello. Hi, Doug. Hi, Sirke.
Hey.
Hi, Christian.
And we're
Hello.
showing up on the screen.
All right. So let's jump right into this discussion. I was just asking Marsha and Ain what they thought of your interviews. And Marsha's just said something to the fact that it would be great to discuss the ideas that Stefan mentioned about centering and Christian mentioned about investing in oneself. Right, Marsha?
Yes, and I'm just checking in with what's happening on the screen. I'm sorry to divert, but it's not playing what's actually showing live here. It's kind of a
There is a
frozen.
little bit of delay always.
It's not playing anything. It just shows the three of us in the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a play button. You have to press the play button. I just tested it. It worked for me.
Okay, I'm hitting the play button. I'm just going to hit refresh. We're just going to keep playing. All right, never mind. The question was?
The question is still, there's a little bit of delay. Oh, something is playing. The new normal. We obviously are kind of trying to figure out and sort out how we can live in this new normal. I don't know if it's really that normal, but it's definitely new, and we will have to adapt to it. What are the characteristics of new normal, and how do you envision that things may continue evolving in next few months, maybe till the end of this year? I don't think we need to worry too much about any further distant future.
Well, the new normal for me showed up like many things in my life do. Somehow I seem to be taking the actions to be ready for it before it occurred in the big world around me. I did not know the pandemic was coming, and I retired in October of 19 with the mindset of I'm going to go stay in my house and mind my own business for a lengthy period of time because that's what I want to do. I had my money lined up and things taken care of. And then lo and behold, the universe said, go home, stay there, be grateful that your money's in place. So part of the new normal for me is really letting that inner voice speak and to appreciate it and honor it. And not resisting, I think, would be the new normal, and looking up to say, wow, who's in my circle that's going to be a part of this new game, and how do we all fit together? So the new normal for me is people I didn't know before and lots of phenomenal talent and abilities and skill, and how do I jump in and be a good contribution?
Awesome.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that 100%, especially with just embracing the change. Like this is, it's just a phenomenal time to just embrace all the changes that are coming up, and you know, being able to open yourself up to abundance because it's going to come in a different form now, and not getting too much in your head about how it's coming, right? How you're going to receive abundance. So yeah, I really resonate with that and appreciate, because my life, you know, at first I was caught up in my head and I was very much like, what am I going to do? I can't see people in person. You know, everything's closing down. Everything's kind of like shutting down around me. But then eventually things did work themselves out, and I was like, okay, things aren't so bad if I'm able to just relax and not try to overthink where the money's coming from. I'm just going to trust, like having more trust in myself, you know, and being able to know that I am, my higher self is always working on my behalf, and I'm always going to be fine as long as I go in the direction of resonance.
Awesome. Yeah, direction of resonance is the name of the game.
I would so agree to. Thanks to Marsha for this wonderful opening. That was really sweet. And Sean, I mean, you hit the nail, obviously. By the way, I feel very in tune with Marsha, with you, what you said. It's also for me, I noticed a couple of years ago that I had a major blockage, but was more of an emotional status that I needed to work through, in a sense of I never wanted to touch it before. And so that was, I mean, more intensively before, 2 years before the pandemic really then changed everything. And I really got also my eggs in the row, kind of just working along with taking it away and made it right for, first of all, for my emotional state, working through that, and detach was more the job of the day, to be just me as I want to have it, and what are my things that I really enjoy in life, become more real, which I wasn't before that much. You know, I was just functioning, everything was so fast, you know, so it's like, and I just like, oh, okay, I'm coming along, you know, but I didn't feel like it's me coming along. So I took myself, or gave myself permission to take that time, which was of such a value. And then I felt going through those phases and gained so much of knowledge, wisdom together, and lined up then also, like you said, Marsha, with things showed up. They are not from a written book. Is, you know, they're just showing up, and you become alert to that and say, oh, what was that? You never paid attention to that before. And so suddenly you say, wow, that seemed very little, but there was such a connection to it. And later on, you saw how it all came together. So I really felt like when the pandemic hit, I was very evened out. I had no issues, in no way. I was able to support other people, take the fear away from people, just by being me. And then I showed up also on Facebook, that, heck, what should I do? I just share as innocent. I just share what I have to say. And if people like it, well, they can connect with me. If they don't like it, they garbage it. It's fine, you know. But I made sure that I don't talk too much of a garbage, right? So I think that brought then more centeredness, as you say. That what I was more missing. Who am I in this whole? What is pulling me out? What is bringing me back? What can I do when I feel I'm out? You know, all from the teachings. And yeah, I feel this is now our new normal. We are taking, realizing who we are in this moment and just go with it, but still be yourself in this moment and allow that to develop. You know, we still have emotions, we still, life is hitting us. There's nothing we can do about it, but you don't have to get attached to it. You don't have to continue following that. You come back to who you are and then live it. And that's the beautiful beings we have here. So I'm so excited about the new, like Silke, you with your sound stuff, you know, I mean, all these more higher vibrational levels, Marsha, with your painting ideas, you know, it's so beautiful when this shows now more up and people appreciate more connections through music or through arts in general, right? So I think that should be a new normal. I'm looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much, Simona. It is a new normal in terms of supporting each other more, realizing that it's easier to survive and to thrive in a community of like-minded people rather than trying to make it on your own. It seems like, in my humble opinion, this pandemic also kind of put front and center things that were supposed to be obvious, like paying attention to your health, you know, taking care of other people, and especially elders and others who may be more susceptible to illness. Not causing grief to other people if they don't want to get too close to you, or if they don't want to socialize with you, fine, let them be. Taking care of your hygiene of all things, washing hands. Well, we're already washing hands, I think, but now we're doing it incessantly, right? No, I'm joking. I'm just simply saying that it's the practices that we basically were doing anyway. We just simply become more mindful, more aware, and perhaps more intentional about performing certain actions that we recognize may have consequences, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that, Lama. Totally. And thank you, Simone, yeah, for mentioning the higher frequency. Like, I feel like what is the new normal? Well, a world with human beings on it that live in a higher frequency. Like, I see a huge change in energy. I see people becoming more aware of themselves, like you're also saying, Lama, and paying attention to their health. Me personally, I've always had a little something going on with my lungs, and I would get almost pneumonia every year, except 2020. I'm healthier now than I've ever in my life been, because and I feel like I've paid attention to my health during my life, but it's like last year we really needed to pay attention to ourselves. So I feel like we see people with higher frequency. We see more people talking about energy awareness. Like, what is your energy right now? How do you present yourself in the world? How do you what energy do you take on you? What do you resonate with? We talk more about that, and it goes hand in hand with Qigong coaching. Like, how do you hold your body when you're in this energy state of being? Well, how can you change that so it really fully resonates with you even better, or are you already there? Like, really paying attention to how do you live your life every day, and how can you constantly live in your flow of energy and recognize that, oh, that path over there is out of the flow. Do I want to go down it anyway, or do I want to stay in flow? Sometimes it's beneficial to kind of test out, right? Ooh, that does not resonate with me. Let's figure out why. What's going on over there, right? Like, what is that? Why? Ooh, that's why. Can I learn to resonate? Is it because it's outside my comfort zone? Is it because I need to rub against it? Do I need to learn something from it? Well, maybe, but not right now. Or yeah, this started to resonate with me anyway, right? So I feel like we're talking more about energies in the world, which is so amazing, and I feel so happy about that, because that's where the world needs to go. Masks or no masks, or whatever that, all the opinions about how you live your life. Well, if we learn as human beings to just tune in to what do I need, and if we all in the world do that, then there will be nobody telling you to wear something you don't want, or you to do something you don't want to do, or you to do this to take care of me, right? Because we would all be taking care of ourselves. And I feel like that is the new normal coming. It might be some years on the way, and there might be some turbulence, right? But I see it. I can see it and I can feel it. And everyone I talk with, and this beautiful community, is so much more enlightened in who they are as people and what they bring into this world. So that's where I'm at with it. Yeah.
Right on. Right on, Circa. Doug, do you have any ideas or things to share?
Yeah, I do. When we come out into the new normal, that is, I'm gonna invite you all to breakfast. Like, I've been improving my little chef skills and listen to Gordon Ramsay and connecting to master classes like that. And it's surprising how cooking or chefing skills, I'm finding it very inspiring to, it's another form of expression. And I've got a poetry page started and sharing that with the world. And actually sharing yourself with your neighbors. Like, we get a lot of snow here sometimes and little blizzards. So I've met a few neighbors I would have normally met. One couple down the street, they got a daughter, car was completely engulfed in snow. So I made instant friends, like by plowing out her driveway. And
In case anybody is wondering, Doug is in northern Saskatchewan, right, Doug?
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's plenty of snow there.
yeah, we got hit pretty hard in November. And so I've been in touch with these people since, and they bought a gift to my door, you know, like neighbors used to do. And so it's been a much more mindful world for me in meditation, spending time in nature and meeting people in nature and seeing the little park outside of our city in the forest that it's half full now at times, which is really exciting, where people didn't have the time to go, or just because we have no place to go, but you can meet out in nature.
Yeah,
Really,
nice, great outdoors.
yeah, the great outdoors is just a few hundred yards that way. And so another thing I've wanted to do for a long time is fast and meditate. And fasting is in all the spiritual traditions, and old and new, and I found that really refreshing for my mind and clarity. So that's what I've gotten into, and it's inspiring people around you. So
Cool. Did you have any challenges that you ran into or experienced since the beginning of this pandemonium?
Traveling, I love to go here and I love to go there. And as you know, I've been to Oregon a few times, and it's just such a beautiful state. I even met Christian in person out of all the people here. And yeah, so that connection is kind of not broken, but kind of seems like it's on hold.
Mm.
You know, that gatherings and people and playing guitars, and it's kind of a solo act right now in a lot of ways. So in a way, it's a bit lonely, but I don't mind that so much. So yeah, that's been
Right
the biggest challenge for me.
on. Got it. All right. Well, since Christian, you were just brought up, you're next.
Well, everyone's been sharing a lot of great things. You know, and I kind of want to shift the tone a little bit to looking past our own experiences here, because we do stand out, and we can be in a bubble where, like, yes, you know, we're very high vibration, we're taking care of our health, and I also have had long-term issues with my lungs since my late 20s, and I would have bronchitis every year for a couple of decades, and but I very diligently over the years worked on correcting that. And about 2 years ago, I kind of turned that corner. And I mean, in the last 2 years, I had one flu, and I think Lama, you had a flu around the end of 2019.
I actually got it at the beginning of 2020, right at the beginning of this pandemic. I was at the gathering of spiritual teachers of all places in Orlando, Florida, and probably got it from the Chinese delegation, I suspect, or flying on the airplane.
Yeah,
so it was basically my exposure to coronavirus, probably before most other people did get.
Yeah, I don't know if this was Corona or not, but there was a gathering I went to in December of 2019. So I did get sick. But you know, what's really interesting is after having been sick at that time, and that was the first time in a while where I'd been hit with anything, I actually felt infinitely healthier after that. And I haven't had so much as a sniffle or a cold throughout the entire last year or this year. So and you know, in terms of being hit by, you know, economically, all of the work I previously had got canceled last year. But as it happens, you know, with the way that I pivoted, I'm infinitely better off now than I was 2 years ago before all this happened. So I'm grateful for all that, and I am surrounded by people who are like-minded, and it's good to have that. But there's a quote that I really love by Krishnamurti, which is, "It's no measure of good health to be well-adjusted to a profoundly sick society." So like for me, the new normal there's nothing normal about this. There's a lot of profoundly messed up things about what's going on and how people are dealing with it. Now, that said, you know, people like us, we are kind of in our own bubble, and it can be easy to miss out on that there are many, many people in the world who are infinitely worse off as a result of what's going on. And there is a divide between the conveniences and benefits and the economic bubble that we are in the West. And there's an enormous cost to people in the other parts of the world. I mean, one example was the fashion industry didn't pay for all the things they had contracted from India and other places. You know, they pre-contract to get all their clothes, but they don't have to pay for it until they ship it. And when the pandemic hit, they didn't pay them for all the things they had already made, to the tune of $50 billion. So in the West, we're kind of insulated from some of the devastating impact of the pandemic. And so I think it's really important to keep in mind of, like, yes, we have sovereignty, and yes, we're doing all these amazing things to keep ourselves healthy and to adjust during these times, but it's not universally true that people are better off. And, you know, I think there's a balance between personal sovereignty and social justice. And there's, you know, I think it's important to bring that into the discussion as well.
If we're doing it.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I mean, what is being revealed is many cracks in our economic system, in our you know, social and economic inequality around the world. And yes, because of everything happening, we have to adapt somehow. But I personally don't resonate with this idea of the new normal. I think in the face of big changes, we do have choices around how to respond, and doing so and encouraging others to do so is super important. But not everyone is as able to access new choices. And it can be really easy for us to forget that here in the West. Or even people, you know, there are many, 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 many millions of people in the United States who have lost their work, and from where they are, don't see any options. There's literally no options for them. So, you know, are we adapting? Sure. What's coming? That's hard to tell. So, you know, I try to balance that personal sovereignty and the energetic work that I do, and immense gratitude for the fact that I'm way better off as a result of the pandemic. And, you know, I think, you know, learning the energy arts helps us be able to be resilient and adaptable, and that's super important. So, you know, I don't have any big solutions for the big picture of what's going on out there, but you know, I'm grateful for all you and for what I've learned from Lama Tantrapa. And, you know, for anyone out there, I would encourage them to, as much as possible, to be proactive about your own health and your own well-being, but also keep an eye out for those who are not able to adapt and those that don't have the resilience or the resources to do so. You know, because here's the thing is, if we ignore all of them, their plight becomes our problem later. So we can't insulate ourselves from that. We've certainly seen, like, how interconnected we are with, you know, you take, for example, that enormous cargo ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal. Well, we were really close to having a massive disruption to the supply chain, bringing to us all the things we can buy on Amazon, right? So there's
all the toilet paper was stuck in the Suez Canal.
All the toilet paper and all the other things. And so there's an enormous amount of delicate interconnectivity that it allows us to enjoy the privileges we have. Those can shut down, those can get disrupted in a way that we would then feel the impact here. Thankfully, at the moment, we're doing great. So hopefully things will continue, and hopefully, you know, some of you mentioned, you know, the importance of more win-win community connections and looking out for each other, and you know, fingers crossed that more and more of us can do that, so that there's more benefit for all around the world. So yeah, that's my observations on what's going on.
That's an excellent observation, man. That's something that definitely deserves attention. We can feel really thrilled to do better on our own or in our own right, so to speak. But yes, if there are others that are suffering around us, well, we're not living in a happy world. We're living in a challenged world, and maybe we are doing better than others by comparison. But what if we actually help others do better as well? And that's basically the job description of a Qigong coach, to help others manifest and live their dreams. They will in turn help us manifest and live ours, whether they pay us for our services or we create some other form of goodwill. But yeah, that's definitely something that is our primary job description. So this is great that you brought it up, and we'll put it front and center, both of this event and our future events as well. So that's maybe something that we will even turn eventually into a movement, some form of social movement where we can create some sort of, I don't know, Qigong without borders or something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of borders, I don't think Ain had an opportunity to speak much, but you are welcome to unmute yourself. We see beautiful sunset on your side of the world, obviously in Northern Europe, which is evening time now.
Yes,
So,
yes. It's 8:30. I think it's called in. Well, my English is not really good. My vocabulary is poor, but I will try my best. Well, what I have experienced in this last year with the epidemic is that there has been made a cliff, or like a cliff. Maybe Sig can help me.
Okay, I'll help. Cliff, yeah.
And where the people that are working are running faster, and the people that have no work is getting more hectic.
Disassociated or, yeah.
Yes, yes. And it's just ongoing. For me, it has been a really busy year. A lot of evidence. I can only be really grateful in so many ways, both my work, but also voluntary work and many other things. I actually need a vacation. But I also see that there is been creating a lot of debts that the next generation are going to pay for many, many, many years. So things are really going to change from forward on. And I think there's this, I have not the education of Qigong coaching, but I think this is a wonderful way to get the dreams that people are having, but maybe have forgotten, that are suppressed up to the surface, and really get to flow and to feel the power in the contrast of what is happening. I think this would really, really be a fine oplevelse,
Exploration, yeah.
Yes. So, and I know some, well, it has been really difficult for me to explain formless Qigong, what it is, and or to convey word it, but it has so much power and it can do so much for people. So I really think that this would be to continue to do this inspiration would really be contribute to really many people. And I think with time, this will also be able to be done like a quantum in some kind of way, as I see it.
It could be done with what? Or can you repeat that again?
Like a quantum, like a massive the more people that are able to do this will make like a quantum effect.
Oh, I see.
Ripple effect, maybe.
Yes, of facilitating dreams within people, within.
Starting a movement.
Yes, something like that.
For sure. And
Yes.
basically, I think one of the things that we begin with is serving as role models of living our dreams. When somebody lives their dreams authentically, they become a role model so that other people can see, oh, it is possible. It is possible to live one's dreams. It is possible to manifest things without too much struggle. And even if there is struggle, well, they are not suffering from it. Look, they're using it as a learning opportunity. Like this morning, for example, there was a significant challenge that I ran into. I couldn't make this Zoom broadcast, the videos that I wanted to broadcast of all of you guys one by one, piping the video from YouTube through Zoom back to YouTube, back to the website. Just too complicated of a process. And so I decided, Albert Einstein was smart. He said, any idiot can complicate things. It takes a genius to simplify. So I decided to simplify the damn thing. Instead of going from YouTube to Zoom, back to YouTube, back to the website, I just embedded YouTube videos straight into the website, bypassing the whole shebang. So that kind of gave me an opportunity to learn something, even though I thought it would be relatively easy or doable. So each and every time there is a challenge, we can actually learn something from it, because we can't really be in the flow all the time. Most people don't really experience state of flow very often at all. Maybe once or twice in their lifetime, they say, oh yeah, one time 20 years ago, I was really in the flow one day, or something like that. But we learn how to be in the flow at will. We have these practices that allow us to be in the flow pretty much whenever we choose to. But we cannot be in the flow 100% of the time. And so that's one of the interesting things that I often have to answer this question that often comes up. Do you always live in the flow? No. My answer is no, it cannot always be in the flow. There is always going to be some fluctuation, ebb and flow, so to speak. So what do you do when instead of flow, you get an ebb? An ebb, obviously, is the turbulence or some kind of a friction. Well, you learn from it. So instead of looking at it as a problem or feeling bad that you're not in the flow at this particular moment, let's put the learning hat on, so to speak, and immediately switch into the learning state of consciousness. And that is one of the key practices within Qigong coaching. We actually use energy awareness and energy practices to facilitate that learning state, to become a default state whenever we run into any challenges. Have you guys experienced any challenges that you turned into a learning opportunity over the last, say, 12 months?
But for me, it has been technology as well. That's certainly one area. There was a point in time where just logging into my account on the TV set, which meant pushing all the little buttons to put in your email address, made me crazy. It was like, who thought this up? And now I can do it with one hand while I'm doing something else with the other one. And it's just, there's been this shift of acceptance, which when I run into the why won't this work on the computer or what's going on, I'm able to just kind of intentionally roll back into the ebb, like accept the ebb for what it is. I will say there's a new word coming out of this. When someone says what's going on, I'll say, well, I'm ebbing right now, which means I'm just kind of sitting back and, gathering the energy so that the intuition or the collective forward motion can organize itself, and then I can step back into the flow. And I'm often surprised and delighted by how that process has some miraculous solution just show up. Like things fix themselves, or I learn some new skill that I just like, wow, that happened. Where did that come from? And now I know how to do it. So technology, I think, is going to be one of the new, not normal normals for everyone. I'm playing with Christian's input about the new normal is that there is no normal. That one of the things we have to let go of is our attachment to what words used to trigger in us, and open up that we can give a whole new meaning to any encounter, any person, any situation, by just be okay with sitting in the ebb. Like there's nothing wrong with the ebb, be in the ebb and then be in the flow. So technology is teaching me to be a new dog in this old world.
Learning new tricks.
Learning new tricks.
If I can share something that's more of human nature,
Sure.
I have been connected the last 2 years. My son was in Germany, had his apprenticeship in Germany, and he came back to living with us. It was planned for a year. It turned out to be 2 years. And the most beautiful thing for me happened. That is was for me the most challenging in this whole time. I mean, you can imagine I love my kids. I have 3 boys, right? So he's the youngest. And it's just like, just move on, just move it. So he was 22 when he came back. And he is very contrary to my personality. So it's obviously can cause in any family quite some changes and challenges. And he was able to talk to me like probably all the younger generation, saying, I mean, exactly, I don't want that. Take it and go somewhere else. Take care of it, Mom, right? And it startled me. So it's like this so-called new normal was for him normal, not for me, not how I grew up. With our frames that we have been set in life, what should be done, what shouldn't be done, our moral codes is quite different to what now the younger generation experience as valid, something they get out of, right? So the old codes don't work so well for them. And German history, so, there's quite some education that my parents got from the wartime. I know my grandmother, so I know her values, but my boys don't know about that much, but we live it through. So, and it came to the point that it was very clear to me that he's right. We cannot continue with that's what's not working. And that was such a humbling experience for me. I just listened to him and like startled and took it, like you said, Masha, right? You just take it in and then you sit with that. I didn't say one word. I allowed him to be so contrary, and I'm agile, I'm working, I'm doing things. And he said, no, not doing it. So because you love someone, you want to, not push him into the corner where you came from. So I knew I grew up around people completely isolated. I think it's the hardest prison you can be. And when you suffer through that pain, you don't want to give it to someone else. And so I have seen a lot of parents, they push their kids into something, and I like, nope, not doing it. Got in trouble with my parents, right? So I messed up the whole family dynamic, but good so, because I could stand my ground. I feel honest about this to a degree, you know, I have always something to discover underneath. And now we have a relationship, my son and I, where he was able to show up in the state he was. And then, well, sometimes pissed, right? So, Mom, don't talk. Don't like when you're happy right now, right? So he says it. So I could now connect to a deeper level of, how do you say, feeling for someone, where they are. Do I have to show that I'm happy? No, I don't, right? I can just let it be. And that was such a beautiful 2 years where we grew together. And now he's back in Germany and he's now calling. So he has now questions that, you know, he discusses things with me, which never happened before. You know, I do think the evolutionary process is exactly as that oneness, as we understand in everything is one, doesn't know itself if it's just one, right? So it has to create, in order to bring an evolution forward, an opposing part, which is integrated. So it cannot be separated, but it will urge the other part to also grow with it. So I thought I had just an amazing opportunity. And now I feel like I'm ready to go with my parents, you know, because of there's a lot of things they created because they didn't know better, and they are in pain, and they're in an age now where, you know, it's not so cool, you know. And I do think nobody wants to be alone in that. So I'm now more strong in my core, knowing I can go out and can stay with them, without to interfere, without to say this is bad or you have to do that. And I think that's more what's needed for all of us. That love, that level of love, just let it be. John Lennon was so much in front of the times, right? So yeah, I feel this is more accepting this evolutionary step. In this evolutionary step, we have contrary parts. And without that, we could not come to a different understanding. We would not stop and pause. We would not think about it. We just would rumble along and waste our life, you know, in that sense. So I do think that anything outside will help us as a complete mirror reflection in 3D version, so to speak, interacting with me. And if I can see that more in that way, so it's like it's reaching out to me because there's a part of me that doesn't want what the other part wants. So how can I integrate that? And I just think I don't have the answers for that either. So I have to sit with that and see all the sides and say, oh, well, what's growing out of that? I don't know yet. And that was humbling for me to say, oh, well, I don't know yet. Well, everyone expects answers once it's past pill, but it's a very slow process. And I appreciate the stability that it brings. And that is where I do not fear at all, you know, money or partnership or relationship. I don't fear that as I did before. And I do accept there's things I can do. If I do them on a regular basis, something will come out of that. And so I move slowly at this point, and I hope that people pick up on that, do the same thing, and wherever they feel resonate to, they are drawn to, there's a good reason for it. And I think, Circle, you said that, right? So it's like something I want to learn, yeah, maybe it's not right now because I don't have that level of energy, right? That's possible too. Well, thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing this, Simona. It's something that obviously is a great way of looking at things, that you don't have to be always right. You don't have to be right, not only in terms of interpersonal relationships, but also generations. And generations have different opinions. And if we live in a generational society, which most of us do, or many of us do, we have to basically see how one generation has different opinions about things or different way of doing things as compared to other generations. And over the course of a relatively short amount of time, a lot of things are changing these days. So the generation before us may even feel completely out of loop with this technology, for example, as opposed to, for example, the millennials or Gen X generation. They just grew up with it. So for them, this is like, how can you live without an iPhone? Yeah, speaking of technology, we have a technologist on the house, Yoav. Hi, Yoav. Good to see you. You made it.
Hi. Yeah, I had a bad throat, so I hope you can hear me all right.
Sorry about your throat. Yeah, definitely we can hear you. So what do you think about the new normal, and what kind of challenges are we currently working on overcoming?
I think one of the main issues is working or communicating over the network, using Zoom and other communications, because face-to-face is not so common. At least in my industry, a lot of the job now is being made through conversations like this.
Right.
And most of the people work at home. So it has its advantages because it's low cost on commuting, and you spend more time at home and working or doing what you like. But there is also the point of isolation, I think, from face-to-face communication. This is
For
why
sure,
I
isolation and
insist.
also just simple miscommunication. Sometimes people just miscommunicate um, over the internet, when face to face, perhaps they would have a little bit more kind of a full body experience.
Definitely. Then again, it depends what your line of work is. In my line of work, it doesn't really too much important because most of the things are head oriented. But if it's heart centered, I think there is some lack in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how do you overcome this challenge?
By teaching Qigong and trying to work face to face with people, but also doing coaching on Zoom. But I try to fill in what I'm missing in my line of work in other areas of life. Also music, I play classic guitar, play for friends, or so it becomes more important, these face-to-face meetings.
Cool. So do you play guitar by Zoom these days?
There is a problem because there is a lag, so you can't, it's kind of hard. So I just, when I go to friends or my family, I just play to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, somebody is going to invent something that is going to make that a little bit more workable.
Well, there is some open source. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's like a program which is free. You know, you don't have to pay for it, but you need to set up everything, and it allows to do some. It's called Ninja Jam, so you can play with musicians together live.
Oh, wow.
Set up a server, you install a client, and then it compacts the. Well, I don't want to be too technical, but it's supposed to be nice. So I'm working on that. Maybe I'll play with people on Zoom on this platform.
Okay, that sounds good. And you are not the only musician here in this group, right, guys? Who else plays music?
Let's set up a jam, Yoav.
Yeah.
All the music,
Set
all
up
the
a Zoom
Qigong.
jam.
Yeah, we're gonna do a ninja jam. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you like classical music? Because I play Bach and Mozart and stuff like that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Doug is already whipping it out.
Bach was the first rockster.
Right on. Yeah, thank you.
Is
for
that
bringing
referred to as Bach and roll? Is that what you're referring to?
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, folks, for sharing your perspectives, your insights, and also ways to overcome challenges. In my humble opinion, we're still not out of the woods in terms of this pandemic. And also, the new normal is more of an invitation to reinvent ourselves. I don't think the new normal is something that's going to be new standardized way of being. The new normal, I think, is actually that the constant reinvention of ourselves, of our ways to do our work, communicate with everyone, travel, make living, do all kinds of things. Basically, we are kind of tossed up in the air and we're not landing. We are up in the air and we are going to be up in the air for a while, probably for the rest of our lives. Let's get used to it. Let's continue reinventing ourselves. Let's continue recreating our communities and our ways of living in harmony with the constantly changing world. So basically, that's my invitation for all of you and for all the viewers who are enjoying our show. If anyone has any questions for me or for anyone else, please feel free to ask any questions. We have a few minutes that we saved up for Q&A. We'll also have the separate event later today, just in 2 hours. We'll have a Qigong coaching clinic. That's probably going to be the best opportunity to go through Q&A and also receive coaching. So the participants basically will be invited to occupy the hot seat one at a time and receive coaching. And those of you guys who are apprentices or practitioners will be invited to provide coaching. I will be there kind of taking the back seat, so to speak. And if my help is needed, obviously I will be available, but this is going to be a great opportunity for the folks in our community to actually experience the work of each and every one of you guys. I'm talking about you as practitioners and Qigong coaches. And then at 5 o'clock Pacific time, which is obviously 8 o'clock Eastern time, and who knows what other time zones everyone is in, we'll have another panel discussion with probably a different team of participants, but any of those of you who want to participate again would be more than welcome to. I will look forward to that. Thank you so much. Let's disband and we will continue our journey through the day, and we'll have a marathon of all kinds of wonderful interviews and presentations. I'll see you there.
And if all else fails, reboot.
Thank you, Lama.
Thanks so much.
Thank
Lama,
you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.